Now, welcome back to another video. Now, today's video, we're going to get into the post-fight of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. Now, I was going to do an immediate one straight after the fight, but I thought, no, because I'm going to be pretty biased, and I didn't want to react in an actual improper way of how I would have reacted after really soaking it in. Now, my initial reaction was, get in, yeah, so much I could have said, but it wouldn't be very professional of me to reacting in a way like that, if in a sense. But now, after a couple of days, and after watching Andrew Tate in Misfits last night as well, which will be onto a video after this one, I'm pretty much going to use this one to break down my thoughts and opinions of the Jake Paul fight in general. Now, first things first, no matter how sweet and how satisfying it was to see Jake Paul get dropped and beaten and absolutely ridiculed down so low as we did, you have to give him props. You genuinely do. And that kills me to say it, but not only throughout his whole career, fight a real fighter, fight someone your own weight, find someone your own age, find someone in their prime. He's now fought an Olympic gold medalist, a two-time world champion in heavyweight division, and possibly still top 5 in the world in the heavyweight division, maybe pushing top 10, if you're going to be absolutely critical. Not only that, he stuck around for 6 rounds. One thing I kind of did expect from Jake was to survive. I expected that. I don't know if many of you lot did. Me personally, I did. I didn't expect him to survive that long though. I see him; he was frustrating AJ for a long period of time. AJ was struggling to land that 1-2 combination rather than setting him up. He was just throwing them all out, just trying to go for the one-hitter quitter like he did with Francis Ngannou. But Jake made it very hard for him because AJ had to come on the front foot on every exchange. He had to hunt him down and stalk him down. He hasn't had somebody. Jake Paul wasn't coming towards him, and that's what Anthony Joshua is very good at. He's very good at letting somebody come towards it in his range and then firing them out with one single shot. Jake Paul weren't standing for none of that. He got on his track shoes and he went for a little sprint. And he did that for the best part. I mean, I had him winning a round at all, winning one round, maybe two, maybe. Now, where, what else do you take from this? The other thing I take from this is how well he kind of executed his game plan. And I know that sounds crazy to say because obviously he was running for the most part, but he stayed in there. That was the main thing. He was already taking a win by surviving rounds. And yes, he weren't winning all the rounds. He was still surviving, and he was probably hoping to gas AJ out, which it weren't ever going to happen, really. Not in an 8-rounder, I don't think. Now, Jake did catch AJ with some very, very good shots, like some very, very good shots. Or should I say, like he landed like maybe 2 or 3 good shots that actually connected very clean. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, AJ's washed because he lasted 6 rounds and he got hit by this overhand." AJ said it very, very well and very clear. He's in a sport where you hit and you get hit. That is very, very. That is a very good analysis. Like, yes, there's levels to it, but you couldn't have expected AJ to go in there and do 6 rounds. I know a lot of you expected him to go 1-2 rounds, but when we're pushing past that, you can't expect him to get hit. None, like nothing at all. Like you can't expect him not to get hit. Of course, he's going to be hit. Now, I feel like AJ did take the shots very well. I didn't see him stumble, which I was actually quite worried about because the one clean overhand Jake did land, I was like, are we going to see him go over? Please do not. Please do not even get wobbled. But yeah, search and destroy. It literally came from Anthony Joshua. I feel like if he wanted to, he could have probably got him out there in the first 2. But at the same time, maybe not. I feel like he did try. I feel like he did try to get him out early, but he wasn't doing it in the right way. I feel like he was just looking for that one shot, which Jake was able to just run. Jake was fresh. He was breathing nice and light in the first 2 rounds. So yeah, when you've got to avoid one shot, it's easily done. All my fight fans on here know this. If you've played the Isaac Frost level 1 Fight Night Champion mode, you know how to survive, and it's pretty much going to use that in the same analogy of if that one shot is going to land, if that's the one shot he's going to throw, you know what's coming, you know which way to move, you know which way to move your head, and you know when to get out of the way, because yes, he is a fast puncher. AJ does have fast hands, but it ain't it's from the backhand. It's from the backhand, and it's a heavyweight shot. You're probably going to see that coming, especially if you're on the back foot moving. So Jake done really well in the first 2 rounds there, and it was really frustrating. AJ, you could see that. Now, what are the other things I take from this? AJ, I want to get onto AJ here. Even though AJ didn't actually get to show what he was working on in training camp before he got the Jake Paul call, I feel like with a tricky operator like Jake Paul, you've been fighting legitimate pros your whole career in Anthony Joshua. You've been fighting legitimate pros your whole career, and now you've got to fight this guy who goes against everything you've ever trained for, and in a way that you've never actually had to prepare for, and you've had to cut weight a little bit as well, so it's already a little bit weird for you. Now, in some aspect in that fight, I feel like we got a little glimpse of what they're working on in the Usyk camp. Well, Usyk's team with AJ. I feel like his patience is a lot more although he was getting frustrated. I would love to see him work on that frustration, because it sometimes gets him in trouble. But if you had an actual pro in there, a pro heavyweight, I feel like AJ would have done an absolute job on him, like an absolute job. And I want to say Jake Paul was lucky, because that knockout, well, not even a knockout. I wasn't really a knockout, was it? It was a knockdown shot. It was a knockdown shot. He got kind of lucky that it literally landed. You could see it. It landed on like roughly in between, just off the actual middle knuckle, but it mainly based around these two knuckles here, off the glove. And it was kind of like it weren't a glaze or like a skim. It was a connection, but it weren't on the heaviest point of the knuckle or the glove. If it would have been here, these first two, if it was them two there, I would have been worried for Jake Paul, because just that alone broke 2 spots in his jaw and separated it. And he now needs two titanium plates in his jaw. And that was just off them 2 little knuckles. Imagine them 2 front knuckles. And you've seen the size of AJ's knuckles as well. Them 10-ounce gloves don't really cover a lot when it comes to knuckles and hands that big. So Jake Paul's lucky in that sense. But one thing I'm going to end this video on, is massive, massive props to Jake Paul, because love him or hate him, he went into that Mike Tyson fight. I want to point this out. Everybody hated him for taking this fight, because it's 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and yes, it was a gimmick leading up to it. But in the fight, you had to agree that he should respect to Mike Tyson and all the boxing fans, because let's be honest, after the second round in that bout, Jake Paul could have absolutely rendered him unconscious, and that's a legend at 58 years old. He could have really, really hurt him and put him out. But he didn't. He carried him along the fight and decided to stick out his jab and move around. He kept Mike Tyson in there, and he carried him. So he actually earned my respect from that fight. I'm not saying that I like him or I'm buzzing to watch his fights, because I'm not. It's more of a sense of the respect is there. And then after that, to take on, he then went on to fight Chavez Jr., which, yes, passed it and had some problems outside the gym, but he is still an ex-pro at a very high caliber. Just think that at some point he would have fought Carl Froch before he retired, Chavez Jr. at his absolute peak. So that's the levels we're talking about. So yeah, maybe past it, but nobody in that stage of their career, in their pro career, are taking fights like that. And then to go on to fight a unified heavyweight champion, you've got nothing but respect for him. Like, genuinely. I feel, will he do it again? In my opinion, no. I feel like that's a lesson learned from him. But I really feel like he could gain a lot of respect from purist boxing fans if he does take more of these fights. Like how he said in the post-fight conference, post-fight speech, that He's looking to go in the cruiserweight and win a world title. Now, I think that's far-fetched. I don't think he'll ever touch the cruiserweight world title. I don't think he'll ever even have a sniff at it. I know I know quite a few people want to give him a test at that weight class, but realistically, he's not going to ever touch that strap in there. But he could have these fights. I still do believe he could probably compete in the top 25 of the cruiserweight division. I genuinely think that he could. If he adopted the style that AJ had then, that he went in with AJ, if he adopted the style of staying on the back foot, working on your cardio, moving around, touching, I feel like he can be. I feel like he can win fights like that. And it's crazy to say, but that's a standard of boxing. It genuinely is. I mean, it's hard to break through from your area, but if you can, if you've got Jake Paul's name, I feel like you could. I feel like he could with ease as well, with ease. But yeah, he'll never touch top 15 in that cruiserweight division. Never. I mean, look who's. But you got Pat Brown in there. Pat Brown's 2 spaces ahead of him in the WBC rankings. That's crazy. He wouldn't even last a minute with Pat Brown. That's genuine as well. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. How satisfying was it to see Jake Paul get finished like that? I'm not gonna deny it. I was stoked. I was up in awe. That literally made my day. It genuinely did. I struggled to go back to sleep after that just because I was generally so happy. But props to Jake Paul. Props. Love him or hate him, which I wouldn't say I hate him, but dislike him, I do. He still got in there with a heavyweight and ridiculous. I think it's like the total was like $90 million. It's absolutely nuts. It technically got paid like I think it was like 15 point something million a round. It was nuts. You don't hear about paychecks like that. I mean, other than like your Canelo or Bud Crawford. Wild. Let me know down below what you guys think, what you thought of the event. I already know what you lot are thinking. I already know what your opinions are. But drop it in the comments just so I can hear it fully. What do you think's next for Jake Paul? And what do you think's next for Anthony Joshua? Because I know I want that call out. I want that call out for Tyson Fury. I want that to happen in 2026. Let me know if you agree with me down below. And always, thank you for coming across another video, and I will catch you at the next one.